So I just got back from hiking 195 miles on the Appalachian Trail, and I want to talk today about shoes and foot care, which is probably one of the most important topics there is really to discuss when hiking the Appalachian Trail, because if you get blisters on your feet, you're done. And it's actually surprisingly easy if you don't have a lot of experience hiking to have foot problems. So I'm going to give you some tips and also recommend some shoes. So I would say that probably the most popular brand of shoe on the Appalachian Trail that I saw, and I saw a lot of hikers on the trail over the past 2 weeks, is Altra. U-L-T-R-A. Altra is a very popular shoe. I actually have a pair of Ultras at home, and I've worn them quite a bit here on the Ohlone Trail, but not on the Appalachian Trail. The Ultra is a great shoe, and the most unique thing about it is that it has a really big toe box, so a lot of space to fit your toes in. It's a really wide toe box, so it gives your toes a lot of room to spread out, and that actually helps keep your toes from getting blisters. It gives your feet more room to expand, and it's especially good when you're going downhill because your toes aren't as likely to jam up. And then also on long hikes, towards the end of the day, what happens is your feet, you don't realize that your feet tend to swell up when you hike a long hike over a long period of activity, and the Ultras actually give your feet more room to expand into the shoe as they swell a little. So when you put a shoe on in the store, it might fit comfortably and perfectly, but you don't realize it. But after 6 or 8 hours of hiking, your feet are going to swell up. They're going to take up more space in that shoe, and you need to have room for the feet to expand. And for that reason, I recommend, and actually most hikers recommend, that you get a shoe that is about one size too big. So I typically wear a 10.5 when I'm walking around town, and I wear an 11.5 on the trail. Sometimes I even wear a size 12. My Ultras that I have at home are a size 12, so they have a lot of space for the foot to expand, and a lot of room when, is again especially important when you're going downhill, because that's how people lose toenails. You don't have room for your foot to move around and room for your toes to expand, and your toes get jammed up against the front of the shoe when you're going downhill. So it is important to have a shoe that has room for your feet to move around, room for your toes, and room for your foot to expand. The other thing that's important is to keep those toenails trimmed, because if you have too long toenails, that'll also cause you to lose a toenail. You don't want your toenail jamming up against the front of the shoe. You want the toe to jam up against the front of the shoe, not the toenail. So keeping the toenails trimmed is important as well. But the shoe I wore on the Appalachian Trail is the Hoka, H-O-K-A. This is a very popular brand of trail shoe. This particular one here that I have, which I absolutely love, is the Speedgoat. It's the Hoka Speedgoat. And I wore that for 215 miles on the Appalachian Trail, and I didn't get a single blister on my feet. So that's pretty rare. I actually hike a lot, and I actually do get blisters sometimes, but I'm very pleased that I didn't get any blisters at all wearing the Hoka Speedgoats on the Appalachian Trail. So you're going to have a good quality pair of shoes. The thing I like about these Hokas, they do have a lot of padding. They have a lot of padding for your foot. And on the Appalachian Trail, it's especially useful because it's a rocky trail, very rocky. You're going to be trampling over a lot of rocks all day long for 8 hours a day, and it's going to beat your feet up if you don't have a lot of padding. Now, that's the one thing I like better about the Hokas than the Ultras. I think the Hokas tend to have a little more padding in the bottom. The Ultras are a little bit thinner. But anyway, the soles on these shoes held up really well. They get a good grip on the trail, which is nice. They have the padding that I like. It's a pretty lightweight shoe, so I'm happy with that. They're comfortable. You know, they're reasonably durable. This pair's starting to show some signs of wear and tear here and there, but they've been through probably 250 miles so far. They have Vibram soles. So I would absolutely buy another pair of Hokas when I wear this pair out, but I think these are good for probably 200 more miles or so. So I would recommend, my advice, I recommend the Hoka shoes, the Speedgoats, and I also recommend the Ultras. I think they're both great shoes, and it's really up to you which one you feel most comfortable with. You should try them on and walk around with them. I prefer the Hokas slightly because they have more padding in the soles. But they're both great shoes. Now another tip I'm going to give you here is when you get a new pair of trail shoes, first thing you should do is take out this cheap, crappy, paper-thin inserts that they give you with the shoe. These are all removable. And get your own pair. So you can get a pair of good Dr. Scholl's inserts that have a lot more padding, more arch support, and cut them to fit in your shoe. You just trim off the toe here to the right length. You cut them to fit, and you can see there's a lot more padding here in the bottom of the shoe. And you put those babies in instead of that default insert. Just throw the default inserts away, those are junk. They have to have an insert in the shoe when they sell you the shoe, but it's a piece of crap because they know everybody's going to replace them. So just go buy a decent insert for the shoe. It costs you $20 on Amazon for a Dr. Scholl's insert that you can cut to fit your shoe. The other thing you got to look at is socks. So I started out actually wearing Injinji toe socks, which are really good. They're like gloves. They have an individual sock for each toe. So it looks like a glove on your toe, on your feet. But this sock is the darn tough sock. So what happened to my Injinjis? Well, I wore them 150 miles on the trail, and I kind of wore a hole in the toe of each, big toe of each sock. So they were fantastic. I didn't get any blisters. They fit comfortable. They feel good. They're very soft, comfortable socks. I loved them. But they did wear out faster than I had hoped. So I had to replace those, and I couldn't find another pair of Injinjis. So what I got was probably the second most popular sock among ultra hikers and thru hikers, which is the Darn Tough sock. The Darn Tough sock is made in Vermont. These are made from merino wool, so it's a really good quality wool. It's a soft material, it's not scratchy, it feels good on your skin. And they come with a lifetime warranty. So they're made in the USA with a lifetime warranty, and they're made of merino wool. So, and actually they're pretty darn sturdy. They're pretty tough, so they can take quite a good beating, and apparently they don't wear out very fast. I've only had this pair for maybe 60 or 70 miles, so I can't really say how long these are going to last, but if they do ever die, I can get a replacement for them, because that's the guarantee. They have a really good guarantee. Darn Tough gives a good guarantee on these socks. So I can strongly recommend these, the Darn Tough socks. I would prefer the Injinjis if I could have found them at the space where I needed to replace my socks. Now I've also talked to other hikers on the trail, and what they do is wear Injinjis on their toes, on their feet, and then they put a pair of Darn Toughs over the top of them. So they actually wear 2 pairs of socks. And those 2 layers of socks keeps the Injinji socks from wearing out. It also gives their feet a little more padding. So if you have enough room in your shoe, again, if you get an extra size bigger of shoe, you may have room in your shoe. You can actually wear 2 pairs of socks, and that'll help keep your socks hopefully lasting longer. I can't attest to that, but that's what people have told me. So I hope these tips on shoes and socks are helpful for you. I think this is a really, really important topic you need to take a serious look at. Try out your socks and your shoes on a long hike before you start on the Appalachian Trail. Do not buy brand new equipment for your feet and then go out there and try it out on your first day on the trail, because you're gonna get blisters. You need to have a little bit of experience trying out your shoes and socks and finding ones that fit comfortably and feel good on your feet over a long day. At least walking around the mall for a day or something. Try out your shoes and your socks before you get on the Appalachian Trail day 1. And you'll avoid yourself a whole lot of pain.